Welcome to the Maximize Your Medicare Weekly. In this edition, we've got what to do, how to save a few dollars going into the new year if you have health insurance. We also have dental and vision insurance. We get asked a lot of questions about these. I'll provide you some guidelines. I think that's about it. I've taken a shower today. They only last for a couple of hours, so let's get started. Before we get started, I've got to point out GH2 Unfiltered. So GH2 Unfiltered is a subscription site, and it's less than $2 a month. Inside there are articles, perspectives, videos on things that I can't share in public. The reality is that, I can go up to a particular line in the sand, right? I've got regulations around me. I'm not into this YouTube video or this channel to recommend particular specific policies, to point out particular quirks that I see from carrier to carrier. That's not to say that I don't have opinions, professional opinions. I absolutely do. Because that forms the basis of, in a world where you go to the 7-Eleven, I tell people, look, I run a 7-Eleven really, in the sense that there are many brands of gum or candy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that brand of gum or candy is best for you or the one that I think is best when all the prices are pretty much the same. They're not. They absolutely are not. And then in addition to that, there are other reasons that I might prefer carrier C versus carrier D. Well, back to GH2 Unfiltered, because there, what I've done is I've talked about very specific items and, different things that I've seen which I can't really afford to have someone in the general audience mishandle. That's what GH2 Unfiltered is for. Less than $2 a month. And oh yeah, by the way, you'll send me your contact details and I'll send you a copy of Maximize Your Medicare for free. Go to the link. It's down here at the bottom of the page. During Q1 for Medicare enrollees, I've talked about the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period, which runs from January 1st through the end of March. It's a pretty important time for persons who are enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans. This segment only applies to those persons who are going to be enrolled or are enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan currently. You cannot go from original Medicare and adopt a Medicare Advantage plan any old time during this first 3 months, unless you had some type of enrollment period, for example, if you're first turning 65, or if you have some other special enrollment period which allows you to enroll. That all said, for those persons who are already enrolled in a particular Medicare Advantage plan, maybe you've selected one during the annual election period, maybe you've simply rolled an incumbent plan from the past. Q1, January through March, you can make a single change to your Medicare Advantage plan. Now, the reason for the other points here, and you can go to the other videos, you can see me and articles in the newsletter where I'm pointing this out in the years past. One extra point here. So in addition to being able to change from Medicare Advantage plan where you're enrolled to a different one for a different set of reasons, different network that you did not anticipate, possibly better enhanced benefits that you prefer, etc., etc. There can be a list of reasons that you can do so. Now, the important last nuance here is the fact that you would want to do this as early as possible. And the reason for that is because if you change from carrier to carrier, let's just call it Medicare Advantage Plan Carrier B to Medicare Advantage Carrier C, what will very certainly occur is that there will be a full reset of your deductible and out-of-pocket maximum. This is important stuff because let's just say in January you went to the doctor and had an x-ray. Well, the x-ray copay will count toward your annual out-of-pocket maximum. And then you decide, the other Medicare Advantage plan is better for me because they have some, better benefits or et cetera, et cetera. And then you change to that in March. Well, what will happen is the money that you spent for the x-ray in January will not be counting towards your annual out-of-pocket maximum that has been reset to zero, meaning, counting of how much money you've actually spent under the new plan, which is Medicare Advantage Carrier C. As a result, my bottom line is, if you're going to make this change, make it early. Be sure to check out the other weekly videos. I've tried to make these points without trying to be repetitive. I realize that there are people who are not going to be watching every single video. Maybe you have missed something. But the added effect, meaning the accumulated effect of the information that I provide here on the channel and on the other videos, add up to a very important set of information for you. Either I would encourage you to see the prior videos. And the reason is that while this may be repetitive to those persons who are watching all the time, the fact is if you're a newcomer, there's going to be some extra detail, some other piece of information that can be very, very important. So I don't talk about dental and vision that often because, the reality is dental and vision fundamentally is different than health insurance. Dental and vision should be thought of not as insurance per se, but rather should be thought of, in my mind, kind of like a voucher, right? Because and the reason you think of it as a voucher has to do with the fact that the maximum benefit amount you can receive in any calendar year, any dental insurance year, is limited. Frequently $1,000, $1,500 as the most benefit that you can receive in any year. Now, that all said, the reason for today is that dental and vision, for example, can be worth it, which is quite a bit different than what I would have said a number of years ago. We'll go through the math now. 3, 2, 1. The main thing to understand about dental is the fact that the improvement is in network. Okay, so years ago, what used to happen is you would very, very frequently go to the dentist, and the dentist would only accept maybe one plan. That, however, is because the fact is the other dental insurance would require the dentist to be in network, much like an HMO from health insurance. However, competition and innovations have made the world a different place, which is very, very frequently now there are dental insurance, which is PPOs, okay, which means that your dentist will accept your plan, but you may incur a higher cost. Nevertheless, you will be covered. And this can be important because then you're not going in there to a dentist and having to be responsible for 100% of the cost plus the dental insurance premium. That, of course, would be self-defeating. So, the fact is that the competition in dental insurance amongst dental insurance health carriers has made things much better for the consumer. That all said, it's still important to understand how this stuff works. The way this works is that usually, let's just take this, let's take a look at the simple spreadsheet just to give you an illustrative idea. So I just created this thing, as you can see on the screen, dental insurance, and let's just call the premium here $40 a month. Well, this equals, $480 a year. So what I'm going to be focusing in on the total cost here and to see whether or not you think that health insurance or that dental insurance, is worth it. Now, dental insurance is almost completely dependent upon those people who have cleaning. Okay. In other words, let's just call the cleanings, and you can know this to be whatever it would be. Let's just call it $150 per session. Okay. So now you're talking about $300. Right? And we'll put a minus, and what I do here as 400, I measure this in cash flow terms, right? So you can remember from the Karate Kid video, I put on, follow the cash flow. And we'll do that here. So you're going to be outflowing of $480. You're going to be getting something because usually cleanings are free if insured, right? So let's just put insurance coverage. So basically what ends up happening here is if you have dental insurance and cleanings are free, you're getting $300 worth of benefit. Okay, and then let's just call this value. And by value, what I mean here is I'm going to keep a running total. Okay, in other words, so now you can see it. You've paid $480, but you have received $300, so you're still down $180, basically. I think that that's fairly clear, and people who don't quite understand what is going on here can certainly, ask. Okay. Let's just continue on, and what we get here then is the fact that after you've met, and let's just say, for example, from that point, you have, minor or major. And by minor or major, what I mean is, minor services or major services as defined by the insurance. Can't type this morning. Still can't type this morning. Even though, there we go. And major services. So you'll know things like there can be other terms with respect to what dental covers. Okay. And now what you end up having is a bunch of different other services. So the key thing here to know is this. Right here, I'm going to highlight it, which is that it is very important if you are interested in considering dental insurance, that you're going to get your teeth cleaned twice a year. That this free stuff has a financial value. It's $300, pushing down your cost down to $180. Okay? If you're one of these people who never goes to the dentist for any reason, probably not. Let's continue on. Minor and major, and let's just call it, a crown. Here, let's just call your 50% coinsurance. And let's just call the value $3,000. Okay? Now, the difference here is value. It's very important to understand this is value. Right, and let's just change this number to 40,000 because 50 doesn't correctly point it out. So now, the coverage you're going to get, right, is 60% of $3,000, which is $1,800. Okay, and you are responsible then for the balance, which is $1,200. Okay. Here's the issue, is that dental insurance here has this. Here's the key thing. Here are the two key things. Number one is that you're subject to a maximum benefit amount. In every case, there's going to be a maximum benefit amount. So if you're at 1,000, your cost is not going to be $1,200 because your value is not going to be $1,800. Let's say, for example, your benefit is maximum benefit amount is this. Right? So let's say it's 1,000, in which case your actual cost, right, is not but your cost is then 2,000. This is misunderstood. And the fact of the matter is, this can be reason to choose other plans at a higher cost, right? So that even at 40%, right, normally your value would be 1,800, but the reality is it's not 1,800, but it's 1,500. Your costs then are 3,000 minus 1,500, meaning 1,500, right? This is still $500 better. Okay, so as a result, the fact of the matter is, if you know for sure that you need a crown, for example, you may want to have the higher benefit amount in order to capture this difference, which is the $500. Because the candid reality is the difference in premiums between those two plans is not likely to be $500. On and on we go, and this is just a simple example. Please feel free to ask me questions below if this is not clear. Last couple of points here when it comes to dental insurance. That I told you earlier that competition has arrived, right? And that is true because, let's just make sure this is right. One of my pet peeves is typos and this kind of thing. You would never know that by reading the newsletter that I have a pet peeve, which is typos. But competition has arrived. And what does that mean? I mentioned to you that the network's better. So not only are dentists signing up to more plans, but in addition to that, there are now PPOs exist. Equal dollar, you can understand my point here, right? I don't want you to be limited when you go to doctor dentist who may or may not belong to a particular network. You want to be in network to lower your cost, which is basically to say to lower this stuff over here, this column. Because what will happen is this column will be treated differently depending on in or out of network, as usual. The fact of the matter is, the other thing is that you can have waiting periods. Under major, you can have a waiting period. This can affect what goes on. This is why, for example, you don't call me in February to say, okay, I need a crown. My crown is feeling weak. I'm going to have it changed in March. That will not work if the carrier has a waiting period. Last point is that Medicare Advantage plans, and so you can remember all the commercials that you saw, during the annual election period, is that most Medicare Advantage plans have something called enhanced benefits. Well, let's just call it embedded benefits, and then enhanced benefits. Okay, so embedded benefits may actually include the X-ray of the bite wing and then cleaning. In which case, if this is your only service, it can be inside of Medicare Advantage that you don't need anything more than the embedded benefits. Those are included at zero cost. Many carriers have an additional add-on option. And let's just call that something like $20 to $40 a month. Now, it'll be subject to everything that I just said will still apply. Okay, in other words, that yes, you can have the major and minor cleanings, premiums, and then you can have these max benefit amounts, $1,000, $1,500. However, there's one very important thing, which is Medicare Advantage plans don't have a waiting period. And it's really the reason, and people don't understand this fact because they're used to dental insurance from, their private life, or for example, when they've purchased dental insurance privately. However, under Medicare Advantage, there's not a waiting period. And this is an important fact because the fact is that then you can go and have your crown changed in January or February. The reason for telling you here at the end of the year, at the beginning of 2021, is most of these carriers, and you'll have to call them and check, is that you can still enroll with January 1 effective date. So you can even so let's just say, for example, you didn't know the facts that I'm pointing out here in this segment. You can go even prior to January 1st. In fact, most will allow. I've seen even during the first quarter that you can still have it for the entire year. These small little things seem minor, but you can see by the math and the cost of actual dental care and services that these differences can net you hundreds, if not up to $1,000.